Hello and welcome to our in-service training today about creating alliances with parents. My name is Christy Hansen and I'll be your presenter. First off, the rationale for this in-service training is that this topic is crucial in your classroom. Once you have the parents on your side, you can work together to provide their children the best education possible while they feel safe and secure in your classroom. Parents can also feel safe in knowing that you have their child's best interest in hand and that you are going to teach them to the best of your ability. By the end of today, you will be able to know how to build relationships with parents on trust, be able to effectively involve parents in your classroom, as well as communicate effectively with parents. I'm going to be talking about a program called Bridges. This program was written about in an article called Bridges: Connecting with Families to Facilitate and Enhance Involvement. It was written by Mary Sawyer, and she followed a teacher named Mr. Morrison. He's a special education teacher, and how he incorporated this program in his classroom. So as I go through each step, I will give a little bit of what the step is and how to incorporate it in your classroom as well. So first I'm just going to tell you what they are and then we'll elaborate more. So the first is build, recruit, individualize, dialogue, generate, empower, and strengthen. So first off, we have build. We must build relationship with parents on the foundations of trust and understanding. When parents know that we care as teachers, they feel they can come to us with concerns or questions. We can accomplish this by sending home monthly newsletters, letting parents know what's going on in class, as well as upcoming events. We can email weekly progress reports to parents, and we can use the students' planners to send daily notes home to parents. However we go about doing it, parents need to know that the lines of communication are open. The next is recruit. Recruiting parent input is crucial if we want them to buy into us as teachers. There are many ways to involve parents. Once you've recruited the parents and they're on board, involvement can expand. And we can recruit our parents by doing a couple different things. We can send home a letter or an email to each student's parent before school starts for the year. And inside that letter, we can give them a little tell them about ourselves and our education plan for their student, as well as a survey of means of communication, meaning what's the best way to get a hold of them, what's the most convenient thing for them, whether it be email, phone, text messages, or in person. Next, we have individualize. Communication is not a one-size-fits-all. Our students are all unique, so we must make the way we communicate with them as well as their parents unique as well. We also need to understand and embrace the differences of our students and their families. We can go about this by having a translator on hand or having documents translated if need be for students who speak different languages. Another idea is to do surprise positive phone calls to parents. This will show parents that you are paying attention to the things their child is good at and not just calling home because something is wrong. Next up, we have dialogue. Parents need to know that we are there to talk when they need to, within reason and appropriate times. There are often times, especially with students who may have disabilities or special needs, where asking the parents what has worked best for them can benefit you as a teacher. These parents spend the most time with their child and know what works and what doesn't. Use them as a resource. We can open dialogue by using those surprise phone calls home and letting your students know that that's something that you're going to do. It can help them, it can help the students improve their behavior and confidence knowing that there could be a phone call going home that day. So essentially you're killing two birds with one stone. We need to make sure that we're asking parents open-ended questions so we can really pick their brains. Make sure that you're listening to them. And a good way to make sure you're listening is to use a communication log to keep notes so you can remember things at a later date. I know when you're talking to someone, you may think, oh, I'll remember this later. Chances are you will not remember. Some ways that you can go about these dialogues, once you know a parent's best mode of communication. If you don't want to give out your phone number, there are lots of helpful communication apps that you can use. One of them is AppleTree. There's also Class Dojo. Those are all good ones where you don't have to give out your phone number. It's an app where you can email, text, or call all in one app. It's all right there at your fingertips, as well as for the parents. G is generate. As teachers, we need to generate ideas for parents on how to support their children during in-home efforts. We need to remember that most parents have not gone to school to be teachers. They may not know how to help their child improve with homework effectively. This is where it can be beneficial to come up with weekly tips for parents. In the Bridges article, an example is given to tell parents to work on mental math with their children when they have waiting time, whether that be at a restaurant or a doctor's office, wherever they're just sitting and waiting. These strategies can help bridge the gap between education at school and home. Empower is our next step. Empowering parents means equipping them with knowledge and skills that will optimize parent-child interactions. We can bridge educational material as well as behavioral expectations by holding workshops or trainings for parents, or sending videos to parents that are content related through email. One example that worked for Mr. Morrison in the Bridges article was to have the students do self-assessments of their behavior at school and then again at home. And I have an example here of what the school and home behavior survey may look like. So you'll see that there's a spot for the student to fill in how they feel they did during the day, and below that the teacher can say how they felt the child did, and the same with the parent on the other side. This really helps to bridge that gap. So many times as teachers, you ask a student, would you do that at home? And they say, yeah. And you think, oh man, I guess I didn't think that through. So this is going to hold them to similar behavior standards at school as well as at home if you can get parents on board. Our next step is strengthen. Strengthening our relationships with parents is an ongoing pursuit. It does not just maintain itself. We need to actively engage our students' parents. We can do this by being in communication continuously with those newsletters or emails. And we need to let parents know of school functions and even classroom functions. Some examples may be Parent Appreciation Night or an author's tea that you can hold in your classroom. It's also important to get parents into the parent-teacher conferences throughout the year. All right, you've sat for a little while and you've had a lot of information thrown at you. So now I want you to take a minute before we go on break and do a quick think, pair, share with a person sitting near you. Go ahead and meet with that person and take turns sharing 3 things that we've talked about so far that you either are incorporating in your classroom or you want to incorporate to get parents more involved. I'll give you about 5 to 10 minutes to do that, and then we'll go ahead and take a 10-minute break. All right, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your break. Our next section is more about how to communicate with parents, making sure you're doing it in a polite, effective, and professional manner. The first way to go about this is being assertive. Make sure you're using I messages. You messages sound like you're accusing someone of doing something. When you use and rather than but, That is important because when you say a statement and then say but, you're kind of recanting the feeling before what you said. So using but expresses a thought and then diminishes a relationship. Using and can avoid that. Be objective about behaviors. Make sure you're being specific, as well as objective so as to not sound judgmental. Name your feelings. Here again, be specific about your feelings. And then state your goal. This is what you want to have happen. Again, be specific. Next, show empathy for others. Show that you feel bad that this is happening to a parent or a student. Let them know that you are empathetic to what's going on. Your body language is so important. Make sure you're using a firm voice, a straight posture, you're maintaining eye contact, and your body orientation is turned toward the receiver. This helps the person know and feel that you are being sincere and you want to help. Here are some roadblocks that are really important to avoid when communicating with parents especially. Judging. Judging will get you nowhere. Be careful when you say things. You may not mean to be judgmental, but it could come off that way. This can include being nonspecific, such as saying, oh, you're worrying about nothing. A good rule of thumb here is if you're starting the sentence with you, maybe think of a different way to say it. And it could easily come off as offensive or judgmental. Next, we have sending solutions. As teachers, this can be hard for us because we are problem solvers. We want to fix things and move on. But with parents, we need to be careful as to how we're sending solutions to problems. Avoid saying things like, you should do this, or you need to do this, you ought to do this. These are terms to just stay away from. They sound like you're being very bossy and, again, judgmental. Avoiding others' concerns. This, whether it's because you don't want to deal with it at that time or you don't feel like it's important, this is a very dangerous road to travel down. And it sends the message that the parent's feelings aren't important to you or in general. So be very careful about these roadblocks. Right, next is nonverbal communication. These are things we might not often think about. But communication is 55% facial. We say so much with our face and body language without even using words. We need to be sure that we are maintaining eye contact to show that we are focused on the speaker, as well as our gestures. Make sure you're not pointing or using any other kind of gestures that may come off as offensive. Pay attention to your paralanguage. This is things that includes the volume, the rate, pitch of your voice, as well as the pronunciation of your words. Make sure you're speaking clearly and slowly and not too loudly, as well as pronunciating your words so that you're being understood. Next is your posture. Make sure you're facing the speaker. You have an open body language, meaning you're not folding your arms. That can come off as being closed off, as well as slightly leaning into the speaker, showing them that you're really engaged. Your facial expressions, make sure that your face matches what you're saying. It's just that simple. Make sure that your clothing and your physical setting are also professional and clean. This is the biggest one right here. When you face negativity or conflict, what do? First things first is stay calm and patient. Then you need to make sure you're separating the person from the problem. Don't just think that because this person is creating a problem that they are a problem. Make sure that you're expressing your emotion but addressing the issues. Don't make the issues emotional. Meet resistance with understanding, not more resistance. When you meet resistance with resistance, it will start a nasty cycle, which will be extremely difficult to break. If you don't push back on that person, they have nothing to push against. You can't change the person you're working with, but you can change how you communicate with them. Make sure you're listening actively. This is huge. Really take in what they're saying. Make sure you're, again, using that body language, looking at them, nodding your head to know that so they know you're paying attention. And when they're done, you can paraphrase what they said and ask them what they need or want. And that way they feel they're being heard and have someone on their side and to help them. As teachers, it's really important to look at the bigger picture of things. Don't just look at this one conversation. Look at how this one conversation can affect this relationship with a parent. Like I said before, ask what they want or what they need. This makes them feel a little less powerless. And then find a shared goal. This is important so that you can be on a common ground together, so that you can help them get out of the mindset of I versus you and get into the we versus the problem. They'll feel they have an ally or a confidant, and then they can feel they can relax a little bit. All right, so now it's time for our activity. This is going to take us about 20 to 30 minutes. And I'm going to be passing out a few different items. They're different emails. So I need everyone to separate into 3 teams, and then I will give each team a different email. And what you're going to do is read the email carefully. This is going to be an email from a disgruntled parent. They may be upset about their child's grades, or about something that the child has lost at school, or about how they're being treated by you or by another student. So what you're going to do once you've read the email and understand, you're going to draft an example of an email that you would write in response to this parent. Make sure you're using what we've just learned of how to effectively communicate and avoid those roadblocks. And then make sure to highlight those terms or strategies that we've gone over, just to really show that you know what we've covered. I included this little comic down here. It says, in 50 years, a lot has changed in school. In 1961, it shows the parents getting upset with the student, why they've got such low grades. And then in 2011, or in this day and age, the parents getting mad at the teacher as to why the student has bad grades. Even though this is a comic strip, it really speaks so loudly to the struggles that we face as teachers. And we don't need to be scared. We don't need to be nervous. We just need to communicate with these parents in a way that is professional. So go ahead and take that 20, 30 minutes. We'll see where you guys are at. And then we'll come back. We're just going to watch a really quick video. And then you guys are going to be done for the day. All right, welcome back. You guys did great on your activity. We're just going to watch a quick 5-minute video. This video is a TED Talk, which is, excuse me, was given by a woman by the name of Megan Olivia Hall. She's a science teacher, and she won the Minnesota Teacher of the Year in 2013. So in this portion of her talk, she's going to be talking about the importance of communicating back and forth with parents and the amazing things that can happen because of it. Now, I wasn't able to download this TED Talk, so there's going to be an ad. We'll hurry and skip it.
With this little cup, it's almost...
Sorry about that.
And furthermore, because teachers are devoted and caring, our families trust us to help them. We are the trail guides. We know how to help. And we can build relationships that offer up opportunities to help. I had an opportunity to help this young man last spring. He doesn't look very happy in this picture, and he's not. He's angry with me. We are at the top of a ropes course in northern Minnesota, and that's Lake Superior in the background. And as I'm snapping this picture, he's saying to me, "I hope you're happy." And then he said, no one's ever gotten me this far out of my comfort zone before. And it turned out that this student, even though he had fundraised all year to go on this service trip, at the last minute started to act like he didn't want to go. So I emailed his parents and I asked them if they knew what was going on. And they told me that he is deeply shy and he was worried that he wouldn't know any of the other kids on the trip. And so between the three of us, his mom and his dad and me, we figured out which of the kids going he knew, and we talked to him about it, and he did decide to go after all. And let me tell you, he opened up on this trip like you wouldn't believe. Sure, I mean, he completed a ropes course several stories above the ground, but he did something even harder for himself. He opened up to his peers. He started conversations, even with the adults chaperoning the trip. When we had a problem to solve, he said solutions. And at the end of the day, when we were sitting around the campfire, he made everybody laugh. Social connection was this student's gap, and he closed it on the trip because I reached out to his parents. I've been teaching this student for years, and she is smart and mysterious and capable, and like every other teenager on the planet, she faces some obstacles to her academic success. And whenever she hits a little bump in the road, her mom and I are back and forth on the phone. We make sure that she registers for all the accelerated classes. We make sure that she stays in them. And then when she needs some support, we make sure she gets it. And this fall, her mom said to me, my daughter is staying with you. She's staying in your advisory because you call me. You are the teacher who calls me. So here's one simple thing that teachers can do to close the gap. We can reach out to parents. If every day we picked up the phone or sent an email to one family and started one positive conversation about one kid, say, oh, I don't know, I really liked the way your daughter asked me about the homework assignment, or your son had some really great comments in our class discussion today. At the end of a month, that teacher will have 20 positive relationships with 20 different families. That's 20 families walking around saying, our teacher really cares about our kid. And that's 20 families who are eager to pick up the phone now when you call and eager to read your emails because they expect something positive to happen. And you know what? The more I connect with parents, the more positive stuff does happen. Those moments of connection give me the details that make the difference. They teach me what I need to know to help a kid. The best evidence I have of those moments of connection are the letters and notes I get from students and parents. And like many teachers, I keep them in a box. A lot of teachers have the special box where we keep all the letters. Mine is right next to my desk. It's in the top drawer of the blue filing cabinet. When I have a hard day, I open up that drawer and open up that box, and I read those letters, and they give me confidence and energy and strength. They make it possible for me to go forward unafraid, to advocate for my students, to say what they need to get me down on the trail, finding the best path for them. Parent connection gets me moving. So here is one simple thing that parents can do to get students across the gap. Reach out to teachers. Give us the details we need to make the difference. Historian Howard Zinn, who wrote A People's History of the United States, says that we don't have to engage in grand, heroic actions to participate in the process of change. Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world. The natural tendency, unfortunately, has been to leave teachers and parents out of the big decisions. So teachers don't make the big decisions in education, and neither do parents. But until we do, we should not ignore the myriad of little decisions we already do make. We know our kids, and we make countless little decisions every day that impact their chances of success. What a powerful gift for a student to know my parents and teachers are working together. They want the same success for me. When you combine the tidal force power of parental love with the professional expertise of a devoted teacher, we can get our kids across the gap. Together, we can transform our schools into collaborative communities that put the children we live our lives for at the heart of all that we do. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, wasn't that video just great? I really love that, and how she showed that when we work together with parents, we can create a classroom that is so much more dynamic. Thank you so much for coming today and participating. I really appreciated having all of you here. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or come up and ask me a question. That's totally fine. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much.